Hello, welcome to the 2011 NFL preseason schedule, Week 4 picks. We're going to start off on September 1st between Detroit at Buffalo at 5:30 Central Time. When you look at the Buffalo Bills, you have to realize that free agent Brian Brohm, who has shown in brief, uninspired appearances that he is nothing more than a backup. Levi Brown has an okay arm, but is a project who will take too much time to develop. You also have to realize that C.J. Spiller was supposed to give the offense more sizzle since he finished his rookie season with only 283 rushing yards. Even though he does show flashes of his blazing speed and elusiveness, Spiller needs to take a page from Jackson's book on being patient and setting up blocks. During this preseason, offensive coordinator Scott Linehan likes delivering in his packages, and he enjoys using tight ends. Depending on the defense, the Lions can shift from a package with Brandon Pettigrew and Tony Scheffler to either a 3-wide receiver or 4-wide set to create mismatches. With Stafford under center, the Lions will most likely throw 2 touchdowns to set up the run for 1 touchdown on the first-team offense as the Lions rumble over the Bills 23-7. On September 1, it's Indianapolis at Cincinnati at 6 o'clock Central Time on NFL Network. Cincinnati has turned the page. There's a whole new different approach and young mindset. Everybody's moving on without Carson Palmer, T. Ocho, and etc. Defensive coordinator Mike Zimmer uses a 4-3 defense that has experienced its own peaks and valleys over the past 2 seasons, rising to 4th overall in 2009 through 2010, only to fall to 15th last season, when it was placed in harm's way by a mistake-prone offense. Zimmer's philosophy is based on discipline and toughness and being gap sound. His goal is to create third and long situations so that he can utilize a variety of pressure packages. That goal should be accomplished on Thursday because Indianapolis' offense is currently feeling furious and frustrated. Whether Manning returns, which would obviously not be this week, his arm will feel exhausted. Indianapolis has always been used to playing with the lead, but that hasn't been the case this preseason. They have been playing behind the majority of the time, and since that's the case, they have to play smash-mouth football under an immobile Kerry Collins. Bengals 26, Colts 14. On September 1st, it's Dallas at Miami at 6:30 Central Time. Even though Miami has gone through a major overhaul with wholesale changes in store at running back and quarterback, they have still put together a good defense with a strong front 7, including Cameron Rake and Paul Solai. Despite early adversity, the rise of Solai allows the defensive line to prosper as they are stocked with talent. Miami should be fine at this position for years to come. If Dallas wants to win this game, the second and third teamers are going to have to work their reps, which have been fewer in the past. Everyone will have to grow fast, otherwise the tuna will set sail. Dolphins 30, Cowboys 10. On September 1st at 6:30 Central Time, it's the New York Giants at New England. When these two teams tangle, we will see a blend of soap opera because both teams are in soap opera-like divisions, along with Dallas at Miami and Philadelphia at New York Jets. As New England has brought in the moves this year, I would look for Hey Hainsworth to kill Eli Manning and restore his name. Hey Hainsworth has put everything in the past, and he has shown that he has always liked New England in the first place. He will turn over a New England defense that has had only 44 sacks for the past 5 years, which is the 5th fewest in the NFL. Hey Hainsworth and Wilfork will look to free up the other guys as the running backs will not be able to get to their assignments, and those 2 defensive linemen could see double teams as everyone else, like Mayo will find one-on-ones and successfully get to Manning. Mayo has the type of skills to earn garbage sacks because his prayers will be answered as he is open more often. Meanwhile, Eli doesn't look like he is in the chase as a current elite top 5 to 10 quarterback. His quarterback rating, 64.3%, is 7th in the NFL, and he needs a great complement to an offense that may shut down tonight, because if that's the case, then valuable plays will be taken away from him, forcing him to not play his game. Patriots 27, Giants 13. At 6:30 Central Time, it's Philadelphia at New York Jets. I wouldn't necessarily label Philadelphia as the dream team. First, they have to contend. They really do have to contend, and especially since they have Babbitt and Jenkins, and both I think are the right pieces put together to crush the quarterback. Everyone should make each other better. Castillo is a defensive kind of guy since he is a gritty throwback coach. Washburn will make his guys play every single week, but make no mistake, the Jets made a great leap of faith when they acquired Plexico. He is ready to do what he loves, catch touchdown passes when it counts the most. I will look for Plexico to rise in the red zone by shielding the ball with his body as he comes across the middle to catch the ball. He's like a security blanket. I could see Philadelphia making a serious run, but they do have to get past teams like New Orleans and or Green Bay in January. And oh yeah, they also have to get past the Jets in early September. Jets won 29-28 on 2 Plexico touchdown catches. On September 1st at 6:30 Central Time, it's Baltimore at Atlanta. If the Falcons made a blockbuster trade up to require a franchise quarterback or an elite pass rusher, it would have been a lot easier to justify their actions this year. But they gave up way too many. They gave up just way too much. 5 total picks to take wide receiver Julio Jones with the 6th overall draft pick. The Falcons were lit up by the Packers in the playoffs last season because they couldn't rush Rodgers or cover opposing wide receivers. But the lack of an impact wide receiver was not their problem. Now, with that being said, Atlanta will face a major problem as New Ravens defensive coordinator Chuck Pagano's basic philosophy won't change. They want to put pressure on the quarterbacks using multiple alignments. Pagano isn't afraid to run a lot of stunts up front and put his cornerbacks in press coverage with the wide receivers. Pagano prefers to attack then be attacked, and that's a style that has been successful in Baltimore ever since 2000. The Ravens will attack the Falcons with 5 sacks and a forced fumble. Ravens 22, Falcons 8. On September 1st at 6:30 Central Time, it's Tampa Bay at Washington. This is the 3rd year of a massive rebuilding project, and it's safe to say that Tampa Bay is already ahead of schedule. The trick now is to stay that way, but it won't be easy. The Buccaneers are still one of the youngest teams in the league and won't have the luxury of sneaking up on anyone in 2011 through 2012. But if the Buccaneers get some improvement from their young players on defense, they should be able to lessen the load on offense and have the playoffs in their sights. I wouldn't look for Tampa Bay to win the NFC South, but a wild card bid is a strong likelihood. Even though John Beck held the perfect timing and execution at Baltimore last week, I'm still not totally convinced that he or Rex Grossman can both win big games. I will be honest and forefront that Beck has earned the position, at least for now. But if one guy like Beck fails when it matters the most, look for the other guy like Grossman to jump in. And besides, Rex is used to being the backup anyway, so no worries. Buccaneers 35, Redskins 14. On September 1st, at 6:30 Central Time, it's St. Louis at Jacksonville. Spagnuolo's fingerprints are all over the defensive unit because he shares a very active role on a day-to-day basis. But that shouldn't diminish Ken Flagell's record as the defensive coordinator. Flagell has a low-key style that players seem to respond to, and he gets a lot of their talent. Although David Garrard remains inconsistent and will be pushed by first-round draft pick Blaine Gabbert, he did have 5 brilliant games with passer ratings higher than 120 last year. With 2 big weapons and running back Maurice Jones-Drew and tight end Mercedes Lewis, the sky's the limit. Since the key to this offense blossoming further will be having a dependable go-to wide receiver who can stretch the field. I would look for Cater to stay close to a 50-50 balance between the run and the pass because he is one of the league's most underrated coaches when it comes down to enough options, since he will win his share of chess games when given the opportunity. But I would look for the Rams to play man coverage with their cornerbacks pressing the wide receivers at the line of scrimmage. And also, they aren't shy about getting aggressive with the blitz package. Rams 37, Jaguars 34. On September 1st, at 7 o'clock Central Time, it's Pittsburgh at Carolina. Green Bay discovered the way to defeat the Steelers. Spread that defense out and force those cornerbacks to cover, something they just don't do very well. If you go back to a number of years, New England started doing that to the Steelers with Tom Brady at the helm. And they still do it. What happens when you spread the field? What happens when you do spread the field? Number one, it gets Casey Hampton off the field in their nickel defense. Number two, when you use 4 and even 5 receivers, it gets some of the linebackers in mismatches with the running backs, and the teams look for that. You've seen other teams challenge inside linebacker James Ferrier in those situations. But the whole purpose is to get Pittsburgh's cornerbacks in one-on-one situations, and they're just not very good in those situations. Now, Ike Taylor is, but he doesn't make a lot of plays on the football. The problem is on the other side of the football, where McFadden needs help over the top because he has a hard time in single coverage. Whenever Green Bay saw McFadden in single coverage, they almost always went at him, and that's exactly what I can picture Cam Newton doing, because when he's in those window situations, that's where he's able to thrive. Last week at Cincinnati, he made the checkdowns, and he was also able to scramble out of the pocket with this athletic playmaking ability, in which he eliminated half the field by doing that. On 3rd and 9, he won't sit there. He'll run and go. Newton will still progress in the pocket because he is wanting to follow in the footsteps of guys like Matt Ryan and Sam Bradford. He has been put through similar sessions to what he will see versus Pittsburgh. And he's the type of individual that critiques those type of defenses in and out. He will look to throw the timer routes to Smith, and now his role models are his competition. I wouldn't be surprised if he follows up in Brady's profession, but that might be 3 to 5 years down the road. But no matter what, Newton will scramble for 2 touchdowns and light up Pittsburgh's secondary with McFadden in his path. Panthers 30, Steelers 23. On September 1st, at 7 o'clock Central Time, it's Cleveland at Chicago. Lovie Smith has been the one to favor his defense and special teams with conservative decision-making. When he knows that he has the upper hand on an opponent like in 2010 through 2011, he's even less willing to gamble with a 4th down risk or a longer field goal attempt. That situation is unlikely to change this season, and Bears fans should praise Smith for being that type of conservative coach. As for Cleveland, I thought they were an okay team last season, and I'm only saying that because they hung in there for 75% of their games last season. The one thing that they are lacking, though, is that leadership that they need on offense. They have a lot of young talent on both sides of the football. I just think that they still lack that leadership. But once they get that leadership, I think the Falcons... I think the franchise has a chance to be good as it was in the 1980s. But that will remain to be seen for at least a couple of years. Bears 22, Browns 15. On September 1st, at 7 o'clock Central Time, it's Tennessee at New Orleans. A rejuvenated Breeze, who is still in his prime at 32 years old, should once again be as valuable as any player in the NFL. He holds a terrific field of vision along with his instincts and accuracy. He has a strong arm than what most people think, and he also holds a deep assortment of weapons around him too. Kenny Britt does have breakout potential, but he has been carrying way too many red flags lately, including a severe hamstring injury last year as well as off-the-field troubles too, especially since Chris Johnson, was still holding out. So Titans fans, be careful what you wish for. Don't push the send button. Saints 32, Titans 16. On September 1st at 7 o'clock Central Time, it's Houston at Minnesota. Frazier is similar to his mentor Tony Dungy in demeanor, player relations, and the defensive philosophy Dungy popularized in Tampa. Offensively, Frazier is more apt to build a ball control offense around a strong running game and short passing attacks that utilize the tight end to move the chains and minimize the risk that come with a quarterback like Ponder, who is fighting for the number 2 spot. Looking at Foster's injury is suddenly now a distraction. When he's ready to play, the bullseye will be on his hamstring. He lost his fullback, Vontae Leach, during the offseason, and now he will lose the bragging rights to AP tonight since Houston's offensive line hasn't minimized the pressure ever since Schaub got sacked 32 times in 2010 through 2011. Vikings 38, Texans 24. On September 1st at 7 o'clock Central Time, it's Kansas City at Green Bay. McCarthy likes to lean on the aggressive side of the football because he wants his team to embrace that philosophy and play to win. He has been stubborn with trying to run in at the goal line and is a candidate to attempt an onside kick at any time, like last week at Indianapolis. But he loves to treat matchups and mismatches like the way an NBA coach would, and he was always looking for the ones that will win him big games too. On Kansas City's offense, they finally managed to hang around a team like St. Louis, even though they still lost, by improving their team's speed tremendously. St. Louis did prove last week that it can be difficult to defend them when both Jamal Charles and Dexter McCluster are in the lineup. Other than that, their key wide receiver, Dwayne Bowe, is still nothing to worry about. Packers 27, Chiefs 19. On September 1st at 9 o'clock Central Time on NFL Network, it's Denver at Arizona. Defensively, ever since head coach Ken Wisenhunt landed in Arizona, they have not been real good against the score. It was covered up a lot when Kurt Warner was the guy. They could roll points up and they could possess the football, chew up grass, but they never had a defense. You can say whatever you want, but Pittsburgh's 3-4 defense is about two things. It's the people, and it's defensive coordinator Dick LeBeau. They, the Cardinals, don't have the people. They are going to try it again with defensive coordinator Ray Horton, who may find himself jobless if Arizona can't improve their 29th ranked overall defense. I think that John Fox is a good fit in Denver. He's a classy guy, a really sound football coach, and he's going to stick by his guns. By the same token, while he's going to have a tough football team, he's realistic in how he approaches his players. He's an excellent motivator. Broncos 36, Cardinals 16. On September 1st at 9 o'clock Central Time, it's San Francisco at San Diego. There are still a lot of things to work out in the playbook for Kaepernick. Crabtree seems to be the guy who will always move the offense, but whenever he is ready to go. San Francisco has to leave it up to themselves to finish out the preseason well by owning Arizona and Seattle's record. If San Francisco can just build and be accountable for each other, then all the moves and pieces could fall into place. But that will remain to be seen because new defensive coordinator Greg Minersky hopes to force additional action and make big plays more often on San Diego's defense. It will be very interesting to see how San Diego's defense operates without Ron Rivera, now head coach at Carolina, who turned San Diego's defense around. However, even though San Diego finished number 1 in total defense last season, no one in the front office was fooled, as a lot of that could be credited to luck and favorable matchups. San Diego was tied for second in the NFL in sacks last season, but most did come in bunches, and when they were beating the team very badly. They were the best defenders against passing yards too, but with just 16 interceptions and few in big situations, that ranking was somewhat misleading. Nonetheless, the Chargers defense showed blow-up and experienced San Francisco offense, 33-18. Finally, concluding Week 4 of this 2011 NFL preseason schedule, it's Oakland at Seattle at 9:30 Central Time on September 2nd on NFL Network. Hiring Cable, a former Raiders head coach, marks the third consecutive year Seattle will focus on implementing a zone blocking scheme, each time under a different coach. Maybe Cable can establish some continuity that has escaped the Seahawks. Oakland made a far reach to select DeMarcus Van Dyke in the 3rd round. He rocketed up draft boards after posting the fastest 40-yard dash time at the NFL Combine, but he was benched halfway through his senior season and is a seriously huge gamble. I don't know if Van Dyke's going to help out Route a lot because Route will be under more pressure without Asamoah around, and he will have to cover up the opposing team's top wide receivers more often. Seahawks 27, Raiders 23. And once again, that concludes the 2011 NFL preseason schedule Week 4 picks. Enjoy the rest of the preseason, and can't wait. We're going to be back to football next week with the regular season. Stay tuned.